that's a bear.
That's scary.
I guess it could be a moose, but
Moose are also crazy dangerous, right?
yeah, I'd rather run into a black bear probably
Than a moose?
Yeah,
Dang.
probably.
Whatever works, you can be aggressive with that thing.
This feels official, dude. I like it.
We're trying, man. You should have seen the first few episodes of this. It was rough. That was me in my basement, and I was like, had no idea what I was doing.
Nice.
And I always tell this story. I had someone on from Pattern. His name was Stan, and it was episode 8. And it's a great story. Yeah. Like, he talks about how he learned all these life lessons from his dad, and his dad passed away from cancer, and it was like this really heartfelt thing. Sure. And then I go back and I listen to the audio, and it's all auto-tuned. Because like I had like a sound mixer, and so it was like we sound like T-Pain talking about like these
cancer. Yeah, so
yeah, it's like
not.
Yeah, he's like humorous. Talking about his dad, going through chemo and all these terrible things, and it's just we're auto-tuned the whole time. But
yikes,
yeah, so rough. But gotten some lessons learned, some hard ones. But yeah, man, it's rolling now, so we can go into it.
Do I look at the camera at all, or am I talking to you?
Yeah, just talk to me. It's cool. As easy as you want it to be, but yeah, Dustin, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, excited to be here.
I'm also very excited that you're here because I first heard. It's funny because there was a guy named Dustin who joined Pattern not too long ago, and I thought it was him that did these survival trips. And I went up to him and like Kate asked me to do some onboarding with him, and I was like, so you do these onboarding trips or these adventure trips, like survival? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, that's probably another Dustin. Right, and I'm like, well, I got to figure out who this guy is because I want to talk to him. So yeah, man, I got to ask, how did you get into this stuff?
Yeah. So starting out from Kansas, and not a lot of people were outdoorsy around me. My dad took me camping. We did some like backcountry camping.
Yeah.
Immediately had a love for it. So being from Kansas, you're kind of like, well, I got to go explore everywhere else because, I mean, Kansas is a great place, but like, what am I going to go do?
It's pretty flat, right? It's like plains. Yeah,
super flat. There's some lakes, there's some pretty woods, but it's not Utah. It's not Colorado, California, Montana, the highlights.
Yeah.
So I started going off and convincing my dad to take me on whatever trip we could. And then I started planning my own. Kind of through that, I started going, or discovering my love for the outdoors more and more every trip. So I started pushing it harder and harder. My friends from Kansas were like, well, we want to come. Yeah. They were pretty clueless as to how it works. There's not as much like backcountry culture there for the outdoors. People who are outdoorsy there are more into like hunting and things like that. So started bringing my friends. And I was like, man, I'm pretty responsible for everyone here because I have like learned kind of what I'm doing through trial and error, but I'm just backpacking, figuring it out as I go. And should something go wrong, should we get lost, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I was like, I should learn something. Yeah. I'd always had the itch to do like island survival. That I always thought was cool, but started being like, well, I should like just go learn how to do this.
Yeah. How'd you hear about like island survival? Because I think I told you I first learned about it from that YouTube channel, Outdoor Boys.
Yeah. So I just started researching it. Well, I remember when I was young, my friend and I would go to the creek. We had a creek in our backyard. Yeah. And I'd be like, man, I'm going to survive on an island one day. I think I saw Castaway or something like that. I was like, oh, I'm like the island. And like, you romanticize it in your mind. Yeah. You're like, I'd be catching crabs, building the coolest shelter. It's not like that. I mean, once you're good, it can be. But anyway, so I was really inspired to do it. Sort of just Googling it. Yeah. Got in touch with the company. I was like, you take people to islands and train them how to survive? And they were like, yep. So I signed up for a trip, just kind of like, screw it, I can do it. Yeah. I'd done some international travel now by myself, and this was kind of like that next adventure that was both wilderness and international travel. So booked it. We were going to go to Panama. We were going to take a helicopter, jump out of the helicopter, swim to the island and survive.
Oh my.
But
what a good start.
yeah, but it fell through. So it was led by this guy named Ian Craddock. He has since passed away. He is the most incredible human I've ever met. He was ex-British SAS, which is a tier 1 military group. Yeah, so on our side, we have Navy SEALs.
The Navy SEAls are those guys.
One above that is like SEAL Team 6. He was the equivalent of that on the British side. So was supposed to go with him. One of the guys that was going to go on this expedition from the Netherlands, he broke his leg. And so him and his 3 friends backed out. We no longer had the minimum number to get the helicopter, so we couldn't get to the island. Gets canceled. So he reaches out to me. In the meantime, I was like, hey, I have this other trip that's coming up. But it's going to be in the Amazon rainforest. And I was like, all right. And I'd been to the Amazon 2 times already at that point.
Okay.
One's doing like an eco lodge thing, and then another time camping with the tribe, which we can get into that in a little bit. Yeah. The Wadani tribe. Had camped with them, and I was like, all right, like the Amazon's pretty intense. I don't think this sounds like fun at all during survival, but I'd also gotten far enough along that I was like, but I know it's not, it's going to be that goal that's like just beyond my comfort zone. So I was like, let's do it. So
that's crazy, man. I mean, I think I talked to you about Paul Rosalie. Do you know who he is?
Yeah. I've followed his work. His work is awesome.
It's amazing what he's doing. And like, he'll post things of him just waking up with spiders on his face. And he's like, another night in the Amazon.
You gotta be comfortable with that.
I mean, that's like, that's a big leap. Be like, okay, let's go. Surviving the Amazon. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah. So I did it. And it's funny. We'll get into this probably later, but we did an exploration trip about a year ago, a little over a year. First recorded humans where we went. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit later.
Whoa.
I had some friends who wanted to come, and I made them listen to Paul Rosalie. Because I was like, you need to listen to this.
Yeah.
Tell me how you feel after the podcast. Because I think he does an incredible job painting the Amazon as both the most incredible, majestic, can't miss place, and the most brutal, terrible, avoid at all costs.
Right.
So I'd have people listen to it, and if they were like, yep, this still sounds good, I was like, all right, you can come. So as long as they had some other, like experience and stuff.
Yeah. They have to have
complete rookies.
They have to have their base knowledge. They have to be able to handle themselves.
Yeah. So I went to the Amazon in Guyana. It's on the north coast of South America, between Suriname and Venezuela.
Okay.
Went deep into the jungle there, learned how to survive with this British SAS guy, plus a couple tribal people, and had a couple other people that went and learned to survive and did it.
Yeah. So what does that look like? Like you guys all show up as a group, and first day at camp, like I've heard shelter's the most important thing. Yep. You got to get shelter first, and then it's water, then it's food.
Yeah, and there's some people prioritize it in different ways.
Okay.
There's always like different acronyms and stuff. But yeah, in the Amazon, I would say prioritize shelter. So we flew into Guyana, and then we flew in a little deeper, and then we took a bus. Then we got to this little tribal village. We then got our packs on and we hiked in. So for the first 5 days, it was training. So we had hammocks, we had food, like we had basic accommodations for, let's just call it a rough camping trip.
Yeah.
We're sleeping in hammocks, which has a net and like all that. So
not ideal, but
if you're not outdoorsy, you're going to hate it.
Right.
If you're outdoors and you've camped, you can deal with this. Like it's not that tough. You are waking up early and you're going on hikes. The jungle is pretty tough. But so 5 days there, we spent the first one where he had like a little structure he had built. It's like a roof, and we had like a picnic table. He had a whiteboard, and I think even like a power generator. So at night we'd like flick on a light. So we had that there. That was, I think, 3 days. And then we all hopped in the canoe. We went deeper into the jungle.
Holy cow.
And then we trained a little bit more, but further away from stuff.
Yeah.
And then the last bit, essentially we hopped into boats. He took us all out separately. I went with, it was just me, this British SAS guy, Ian, plus Lionel, who's the elder of the Makushi tribe.
Okay.
We go down the river. They pull over. They tell me to get out. I have a couple basic supplies. They said, we'll see you here in a few days. They didn't tell me how many days it was going to be. Ended up being 3. So, it wasn't like 2 weeks or anything.
Yeah.
But built shelter.
So what's it like? What's going through your head when they're like, okay, we're going to take you on a canoe, go a little bit further in. And then at the final point, he's like, now get on this boat. And you're going to get dropped off. Like, what are you thinking? Are you like, I'm freaking out? Or are you kind of calm? You got, kind of, you're good. You're confident.
Yeah, it's kind of both. Your mind's kind of racing. You're like, what did I forget? You're thinking back to every class. And, so on one hand, you're panicking and you're like, have I thought of everything? On the flip side, another part of my brain was like, you're going to make it. It's like all this like anxiety you have, you're going to be fine. Is just to say like, would you be a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, because you could give up if you want. So he would give us a radio.
Okay.
If we hit the button, then he'd come pick us up. So we have like an escape button.
Yeah.
So I knew I could at least have an out, and I'd be
right.
What was most at risk was, sure, I could get hurt, but really it was just like my pride. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so a lot of emotions. But then once they were totally gone, you have that moment where you see the boat going off, and then you see them turn the corner, and then you see them no longer.
They're gone.
Yeah. That was pretty exhilarating, where I just looked around and I was like, it is me in the freaking Amazon rainforest.
And I have no idea how long I'm going to be here.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was pretty exhilarating. I was
Holy
like, all right,
cow.
like, this is what you signed up for, and this is it. And you kind of look up at the sky, you look down at the dirt, you look at the water, and you're like, it's just me in nature. And like, that was one of the most probably present moments I've ever had.
That's got to be amazing.
Yeah, it's you have that moment where you're like, I really am right here, right now.
Yeah.
And like, I almost picture myself on a map, like in like a Google Earth and like, zooming out. And it's like, it is just me. And then like,
nothing else.
Picturing, the canopy above me. So
That's crazy, man.
yeah, it was pretty wild.
So what was like first night like? Like, did you set up, like, did you build a shelter or like what
Built
that
a
looked
shelter.
like? Okay.
That was my first priority. That was tough. Here's the thing is in survival, you're like, oh, I could build a shelter. I could get, coconuts, or I could find this. I could fish. I could build a spear. But your energy resources and your energy bank essentially is going down. So imagine like you have your cell phone.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there being like, all right, like what are the most important phone calls I got to make? And you're just watching that battery go down and down and down. And you're like, okay, like put it on airplane mode. Like, switch it back off. It's like, what do I really need? So shelter takes a ton of energy.
Okay.
So built a shelter, pretty basic structure, some Y sticks. So, a stick that has use that. Okay, for the roof. I found some trees that I could go up against. You want to be lifted off the Amazon floor because it's the Amazon and there's tons of creepy crawlies.
Yeah, which we gotta talk about that. I want to know a little bit about that stuff.
Oh
man.
yeah, tarantulas, grubs, bullet ants. We'll talk about bullet ants.
Holy cow!
Built a shelter. We had iodine, so thankfully,
for water, right?
He gives us that. Now we did have you could build a little bamboo thing to boil water and everything, but in the Amazon you lose water so fast. He's like, I know you have the skills. Let's not risk it because that could be a pretty big liability. He has a company and has a conscience. He doesn't want people
absolutely
dying on him. So didn't have to worry about that as much. I had iodine. There's water there, so that's the one good thing about that area. But yeah, built a shelter, got a fire going, had a little flint striker for that. So got a fire going with that. Kept that going all night. But yeah, that first night was pretty scary and terrible because the jungle comes to life at night. So there's stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, man. Monkeys like screaming, right? And
howler monkeys, second loudest mammal in the world. And there was one right above my shelter, a few trees over. So
that's gotta be, and you can't see it.
Yeah, no, you can't. And so
holy cow, man. I would freak out.
Look up a howler monkey call. I don't know if you can edit it in, but
I can toss it in here. Yeah, I'll put it in.
And it sounds like some sort of demon. So he's got that around, and then just bugs, flying in. There's no, when you're sleeping in a tent, and you hear noises. You at least have that barrier, no headlamp. So I had a little fire going. Once that went out, it's like pitch black.
Yeah, you got nothing.
So pretty.
And you can't really see the stars because of all the jungle.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
no stars,
dark.
canopied. I could see a little bit past me to you, even if I had a bright fire going. The rest of the jungle is just left up to your imagination.
That's crazy. So what tools did you have when they dropped you off?
Yeah, so we had some fish hooks and a little bit of line, iodine, a canteen, a bow and arrow with 3 shots.
Wow.
A knife, a machete, the flint striker. I mentioned that. That might be it.
Holy cow! So no food.
Balls. We had some cotton balls. Yeah, no food, no water.
Cotton balls to start the fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, so you're hunting.
Yeah, hunting is the idea. I didn't do so well.
Yeah.
Fishing, I did not so well.
Yeah.
Foraging, though, is big. Here's the thing is there's a couple key things you need to learn for survival, how to make a shelter, how to just mentally deal with it.
Yeah.
Kind of how to prioritize how to get a fire going. But after that, it's how do you know your landscape around you?
Interesting.
So there are some resources here that you can use to then say, okay, I can at least get some calories this way. So foraging's big. That's a big one I would learn.
And what would you go and find in the Amazon?
Yeah, the one is heart of palm, so you can get down from a palm tree.
Okay.
You can pull out something about this big probably.
Yeah.
It's a decent amount of calories. Probably, I don't know the exact count. I'm going to guess 400 or 500. Look it up, double check me on that. But
yeah.
The only thing is it has no taste, and it's super, super fibrous, and it takes up a lot of stomach space. So imagine if you're eating kind of celery that's a little bit more fibrous.
Yeah, it's just dense.
You can only have so much.
Right.
So I got some of that. There's a tree called the cookrit tree, and it has these little grubs that grow in the walnut. So you get that down. They're virgin to the outside world. They were in there as a larva. They've never seen the outside world until you crack them open. And they're small. They actually don't taste that bad.
Really?
But you can get some of that.
So it's staring at you in the face. That's
Yeah, I've got a YouTube video where it shows us, and we all had to. This is the last thing. We had camp initiation. Everyone had to eat one. And
there we go.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, it's so bad." Oh, wait, actually, it's not as bad as you think.
It's just the psychological thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So we had that. We could use it as fish bait. In my case, I only caught a few small fish, so then I just ate some grubs.
Yeah. Eating some grubs. It's like your bucket of popcorn.
Yeah.
Tossing it back.
Can't have too much, though. It's pretty oily, which leads to some bad stomach issues.
Oh,
too
yeah.
much, so you can only have a couple.
Dang. That's wild, man. So how'd the rest of the trip go for that time?
Yeah, so let's see. I had some grubs. Had some hard palm. I think I had 2 of those. And then after a while, I got like another one.
Yeah.
I'd be chewing it. I just like the stuff was falling out of my mouth. I was like, I don't want to swallow this because that's just it's once you've had enough. It's like eating
I'm done.
celery cardboard.
Ooh.
So didn't have a ton more food. Caught a few small fish. Ate a few grubs. I don't think there's any fruit I had. There's like one mango you could find. I couldn't find any. There was one kind of like nut, and it has like this powder in it that kind of tastes like banana. You can't have much of it. Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's escaping me right now. I had a little bit of that, not much. So didn't eat much. Had water. Barely slept.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point of like, felt very off.
Yeah, just like unbelievable fatigue.
Exactly.
Is that because of like the monkeys, like the loud sounds, or like you're just worried, or
you're
keeping
worried.
you up?
Monkeys are going, bugs are going, bats are flying around.
Oh my!
Your mind is just kind of going crazy. It's think about when you're in the basement by yourself and the lights are off. It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
And then you're like, if something scares you, I'm going to turn on my phone and everything.
Right.
You get creeped out. You can't do that. So you get the fire going and then it goes down. So sometimes I'd finally kind of relax and the fire, the wind would change direction. Next thing you know, smoke's in my face.
Yeah.
And it's like, coughing and all that. So like, okay, now I'm up. And then you hear something else. So that was not good. And then my shelter was built up on the tree I was mentioning earlier, the cook grit tree.
Yeah.
It has some branches that are kind of like bamboo where they're all pretty straight. They're pretty flexible. You made that for my bed, wrapped some palms around it, but it's not comfortable. It's still kind of like moving around. You're kind of falling through it. You're pretty uncomfortable. Your bed sucks. There's stuff everywhere that's like alive. And you're kind of scared. So I probably slept an hour between 2 nights.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. So like, what are you doing during the day? Just hanging out, or what's that look like?
Yeah. Well, getting resources is important.
Yeah.
Building your shelter is important. If you're not actively doing something, one of the best survival sayings is, if you don't have to run, walk. If you don't have to walk, stand. If you have to stand, sit. If you don't have to sit, lay down.
Yeah.
If you don't have to be awake, go to bed. So a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
If you're not doing something, but yeah, building a shelter, trying to find food, trying to forage, keeping an eye out for any game. I saw a little agouti. It's like a little possum. It's probably like this big.
Oh,
I saw one, shot at it. I missed by like an inch, but then it got stuck in the log that it was under. So I had to pull that out, lost an arrow that way. I then saw a little, it's like a jungle turkey. I don't know the exact name, a little bit smaller. I had left my bow strung for too long and it lost some of its tension. So and it had gotten wet. I shot it, my arrow just barely went. So missed that, but trying to find food. Trying to build up a shelter. The fact that I knew there was an end date, he didn't tell me exactly how long, but I was like, it's not going to be more than like 4 or 5 at the absolute max. And I was like, I was pretty sure
had an idea.
3 or 4. You can kind of take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit, but usually what you're trying to do is really make your shelter way better. Always gathering firewood. If you're going to go for firewood, keep an eye out for food. If you're going to go for food, keep an eye out for firewood. It's really just getting your resources replenished and stocked up.
That's awesome.
That's what you always kind of have to be doing.
Man, that's like every kid's dream is like, just go out and live in the forest.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So did you have anything crazy happen to you during those 2 nights or that whole time there? Like, did you run into any animals, or like anything that was either dangerous or animals or insects? I want to learn about that stuff.
Yeah, you're constantly seeing stuff. I didn't see too many. I saw one snake. I don't think it was a venomous one. I forget. It was like this red snake, which can, I guess, be territorial and aggressive, but it's down the bank. It wasn't too close to me. So thankfully no snakes. Saw a tarantula in my actual shelter. Not quite the size like my outstretched hand, but
pretty big.
Yeah, probably about like this. And that was in my shelter. So I just got him out, moved him, relocated him.
Yeah.
One night, on the second night, I heard this really crazy noise around my shelter. And it was like, like this weird whistling noise. Like, okay, that's not a monkey. That's not.
Yeah.
And I thought my mind starts, going places. Then I was like, is it one of the tribal guys like playing a joke on me? Because it's not a bird. It starts circling my shelter.
Oh my.
I can't tell what it is. So I'm keeping the fire between me and it. And I'm like banging my machete. And I'm like, what is happening? If it's over here, I'm kind of playing this game of try to keep the light source. And I'm freaking out. Later on, I find out it was a kinkajou, which is like the cutest little like ferret monkey looking thing, squirrel. And I was like, okay, that was nothing. So, but that was like my scariest.
It's mind games, man.
It is. Had a couple cool moments where one of the days I was sitting in my little jungle shelter, and think of that classic picture of the canopy with the lights coming through and you can kind of see the rays of light.
Yeah.
I had my fire going, so I'm looking up and that's coming through, and I'm sitting there and I have a roof on my shelter. It's with palms and it's kind of making this really cool volumetric light as it's coming through. And two just gorgeous jungle hummingbirds come into my shelter. And I mean, I'm just laying there super still. They probably had no idea I was there because I was being so quiet. And at this point, I'm covered in Amazon dirt and grime, so I don't smell like a human wearing sunscreen and stuff anymore. So anyways, they flew in, and for maybe just 30 seconds they were just zooming around, and I was just watching. I was like, you don't get this if you're hiking, you don't get this if you're with tourists, you don't get this if you're taking pictures, you don't get this if you're talking. You get this if you've been sitting in the same spot, totally still, totally silent, for an hour or more.
That's awesome.
So these two beautiful birds were flying around my shelter. And then as the day one or two, one of the mornings I went out, there's a little log that went into the river, and I just sat there and I was like, just sat by the water. And all of a sudden a giant river otter swam up. I mean, within like 15 feet to me.
Really?
And it swims up and it's like making eye contact with me. And me and I we're just looking at this, looking at each other, making eye contact, and just kind of swimming around. And I'm checking it out, it's checking me out. And I just watched it, and you kind of almost had this moment where it didn't physically shrug, but kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like, and then it just kind of zoomed off, and I just watched it do its thing, kind of go in and out. And
that's so cool.
It was a really cool moment. It made these like throat noises. That was a really cool moment. I was like, I'm face to face with this wildlife, and we're looking at each other. It's not me observing it. So a lot of really cool, like low key, calm moments too.
Yeah, I feel like that would be something like that's worth taking the trip alone. It's like, even when I told you before we started recording, like my wife and I just got back from Montana, and we went out to Glacier National Park, and we just went on some hikes, and even that is just like, you have that opportunity to be one with nature, and it's like you feel so connected, and we were talking the whole time. It's like we just feel so calm, and it's like I think it's because this is what we're meant to be doing. So it's interesting, but that's so cool, like having moments like that. And I don't know, that's rad.
They're totally worthwhile, and I think it's like you're saying, one with nature. There's at some point kind of like a tipping point where at first you're like a nature tourist. You're the fish out of water taking pictures, and and then after enough amount of time, enough amount of you've sweat and you've been out there, you've woken up in nature, you kind of stop being a tourist and actually are one with nature. And especially when you're using nature as a resource, and you're very aware of what it can provide for you and what it can also take from you as far as the heat and the exposure and dangerous animals. That's when I really do feel one with nature, where I'm both appreciating it in a more full way, and also fearing it in a much more real way as well.
I mean, Mother Nature's a beast.
You
don't want to mess with Mother Nature.
No, you don't.
So,
but you do want to appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I don't know. That's why I love living in Utah, because we have the mountains so close by, and it's like every time I go to Arizona, that's where I'm from. But it's so interesting because like I'll go there and I'm like, this is like, there's mountains way off in the distance, but they don't feel close at all. But here in Utah, it's like, man, I'm so blessed to have these massive things to remind me that Mother Nature's in charge. And
you got the mountains there, and you got desert down south a little bit, and there's a good mix up here, so it's fun to be able to escape into it. That's why I love it here too.
That's awesome, man. So the Amazon, you get picked up, and I assume they just like take you back to the group and everything, and everyone's sharing stories. And
I mean, it was a awesome like party essentially. I mean, for once we got back to the tribal thing. So Ian, again, the British SAS guy, he kind of believes in like push you to your absolute limits. So picks us up. I was the last one to get picked up. Everyone else was downstream. I was upstream.
They're like, I'm really going to push Dustin here.
Yeah, exactly.
Dustin's going to suffer.
I mean, it was probably an extra hour or two. Nothing crazy, but it was like, so that was great. Pick up, and I'm like, all right, great. Like, give me some of that food. I know you got some. He's like, no. In a survival situation, your rescuer is probably not going to have extra meals on them.
Oh man.
So like 3-hour boat ride, no food.
Geez.
So I'm like, let's go. And I know he had it, and he was like, he gave me a few crackers because like an average hiker might have like some trail mix or something on them. So anyways, I had a few crackers. Then 3 hours upstream was the time where I got stuck on a log. We're like hauling this out. I haven't eaten. I haven't slept. Then we get to the edge of the forest. It's like, well, we got to bring our stuff back. So then we have to put on 60-pound packs. These are military packs, not like nice backpacking.
Right.
I'm sitting there with this thing. I'm like, okay. And then we had to hike probably a mile through the jungle. And there was a really well-defined trail, but you're still humidity and all that. So
and you're depleted. Like you're just drained.
Yep.
That's insane.
So hike through. You're feeling beat up. I remember at one point I was getting like a little lightheaded. I'm like, let's go, so it's like a march after that. Get back to the tribal thing. First thing, he's like, have a beer. I'm like, all right. Like I have no food in me. I had one beer and I was like, ooh.
You're falling around.
And then after that, buffet.
Yeah.
And it was like they're bringing out this fish they had caught and it was awesome. Dude,
that's awesome.
They'd made these like little cinnamon cake things. I don't know. It probably wasn't actually cinnamon, but something like that.
Yeah.
Then we just ate, showered, passed out, woke up, ate. Yeah.
That's got to be the best feeling. Yeah. Like anytime I go on like a huge long run or something like that, I take a nap, that's the best feeling, but I can't even imagine what it would be like 3 days. Oh, yeah. No sleep, no food, or like little food. And then it's just like party time. That's got to be so cool.
It's not only the rest and recovery, which is the best thing ever. I mean, showering and getting into like dry clothes. When you're in the Amazon, you're somewhat wet for the entire time because your
humidity and everything doesn't,
right? It doesn't go away. So that's awesome. But then the second piece is just that feeling. You're like, I just did that.
Yeah.
You're thinking, this is that thing that I didn't know if I could do. And I was just hoping I would not give up. And you're like, just did it. Yeah. This is now this life thing, like this kind of, it's not even a box you check. It's like, I have this new skill, this new appreciation, this new confidence. I mean, I walked out there feeling like I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. And to your point, like probably gives you such an appreciation for things like running water and dry clothes and like all the little things we take advantage of for every single day.
Yep.
It's like, man, just gives you a different appreciation for it.
You're not taking your boots off in the Amazon, really. So
you can't.
I was like wiggling my toes, and I was like, I was like, they're dry, and I'm wiggling. This is great, So just little stuff like that. It was a wood floor at the little like tribal eco lodge. So I was just walking barefoot in there, and I was like, man, the ground's flat.
This is great.
My feet are, So it was
bullet ants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bullet ants are. Yeah. Well,
did you run into any? Did you like?
Not on this trip.
Okay.
He knew where a nest was, so he showed us. Again, this guy is about as hardcore as they've come. Like just any story that you could possibly imagine, he's got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's telling me a story where he had a grenade that blew up and he had hot shrapnel in his back. And then when he got taken to the medic, he wanted to be kept awake so he could advise the medic on how he was like watching with the mirror, like how to stitch it and remove it. Cause he is one of those guys, he's so smart, he doesn't trust other people.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if I can get him to stitch deeper, I get paid more because, it's you get paid per stitch on your injury.
Yeah.
So he's a guy like that.
Okay.
He wanted to show us the bullet ant because he said he got bit by a bullet ant twice in his life. And both times he spent 24 hours in his hammock whimpering.
Really?
That's how painful it is. It's the number one most painful insect bite or sting
in
the world. So as he showed us there, he was like, hey, come over here. Here's what the nest looks like. Here's how you can identify it. Here's how you tap the tree to see if blah, blah, blah. So he showed us. My recent Amazon excursion, we were 9 days in the jungle. On our last 15 minutes, my buddy and our guide, Anders, he has a company called The Wild Tales. Look him up. He had one on his neck. And so I was like, bullet ant. And then instead of smashing it, he flicked it, which is the right thing to do because you smash it, you're getting stung.
Yeah.
So that was the closest I've ever seen anyone actually be to getting bit. Now, I mean, if that would have happened, he would have just gone down. And thankfully, we were close, but we're like, oh man, like the jungle.
Dude, that's insane. And they're pretty big, aren't they?
They're like the size of essentially, they're not actually ants. Imagine a wasp.
Oh, really?
Imagine like a pretty sizable wasp. But what they are wasps that have lost their wings through evolution.
Interesting.
So they look like an ant, but about this big. So imagine a wasp that's totally black, no wings, and then a stinger that's...
And it doesn't kill you. It's just incredibly painful.
Nope, it doesn't kill you. It's some sort of neuro thing where it spasms your like nervous system there. So for like 24 hours, it just has this... Your nervous system is like... I don't know how to explain it, but not good.
The only experience I've had with bullet ants, I don't know if you've ever seen Jackass.
Yeah.
There's this one scene, where they put their hands in like these mitts.
Oh, they did that?
Yeah, they put their hands in like these mitts and like it's Steve-O, of course. And Steve-O's like freaking out and he's like screaming, and one of the other guys like throws him off and he like runs into the water and stuff. And but it's just like I can't believe people.
These guys are crazy.
Oh yeah, they're nuts, but they're broken in the head a little bit. So
but
man, that's
show.
awesome. Yeah, great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
So what were you doing out there last time? Just another survival trip, or?
Yeah. So last time was an expedition.
Okay.
So Ian Craddock, the guy who passed away, we wanted to honor him. Anyone who had come in contact or got to know Ian, he was just hands down one of the most influential people you had ever met.
Yeah.
When I was in the jungle with him for 2 weeks, I was like, the only thing that's cooler than the jungle is this guy.
Really?
I was like, any piece of or anything of wildlife that I'm going to see, or cool plant, Ian's cooler. I mean,
and what was his like interest in the jungle and survival specifically? Like, how did he get into that?
He just loved it. He was a nature boy. He was a wild. I think he is one of those guys who's super, super extreme, and he's not enjoying life to its fullest unless he's pushed himself. And he's like, well, that means the Amazon. So I think that's where he went, and he set up a company, and he got some business through it. I mean, to where he would bring survival people like us, but he would also work with like A-list celebrities, bringing them down. Yeah, it's really funny. This tribe, they haven't seen the outside world too much. Some of them now have been to town and everything like that. But like, oh yeah, Channing Tatum. Pff, yeah, we know Channing. It's like they would just like name drop some people. Yeah, and they were like, yeah, we like drank a bunch of rum, and he shows his dance moves.
Oh yeah, he's our great friend too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like it's so funny.
That's
They're
hilarious.
and then one of the tribal guys, he actually got onto a TV show in London. So this guy actually flew to London to be on a show called Family Life Swap.
Oh wow!
They put him in London, and then that guy that was in that family in London, they flew him.
He flew to the Amazon.
Yes, they did this whole episode. That's hilarious.
That's probably a big culture shock.
Yeah, so I think he wanted to go somewhere that was extreme.
Yeah.
And then somewhere he could start up a business. And if you're filming movies, there's a need for the Amazon, some of those beautiful regions. If you go in the basin, it's a little more flat. We are by the Pakurama Mountains. So there's like a mountainous backdrop, so you can kind of get both shots. So he thought it was a good place to set up.
Yeah.
And Guyana specifically, it's gotten a little bit richer because of oil, but at least at that time, second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, per capita after Haiti, which is not great. But what is cool is everything's super untouched and super remote. So this is where you can actually go to places of the Amazon that haven't been explored before. So he really liked that aspect. He felt like he had this place that he could find that he'd be like, let's go find a new waterfall. Let's go find a new species. So it was a playground for him.
Yeah.
That was him. That's why he set it up there. He passed away. My friend Anders, who I mentioned, again, the Wild Tales, he runs that company. He was kind of his right-hand man. Yeah. He wanted to set up, operate, or like kind of rebrand it. And after COVID, he's like, let's get a trip going. So him and I talked. We're like, hey, let's get an expedition going and see if we can kind of like kick off your company. So we did a memorial for Ian and then planned this awesome expedition in the jungle.
So what's I mean, I think that's a great way to honor him, by the way. I think that's so cool. Mm-hmm. What's an expedition? Like, what are you guys looking for something? You're trying to explore, right?
Yeah. So we were looking for something. We wanted to be tailored and like do something that would make him proud. So he worked with the Makushi tribe. They're the ones in Guyana. When he met them, I'm going to say 21 years ago, I think is the last number I heard. I don't know if that's exactly correct, but around 20 years ago, we'll say. They were still very, very primitive. I mean, a lot of them were still like naked in the jungle. Man, and he took them into modernity to a certain degree, and they wanted that. They were very like, hey, we know the outside world. Like, we've been there a little bit. How do we start to? So he really formed a really great relationship with them. I mean, they respect him so much. He respects them so much. So we were like, how do we do an expedition that's in this area that would also honor them? So it's the Makushi tribe. About 200 years ago, there was a cannibalistic war where the Caribs came and invaded and essentially killed the men, enslaved the women, and then children killed and ate the children.
Oh my.
So this crazy war broke out. Yeah.
Just 200 years ago?
Yeah, 200 years ago. The tribe, they had Sarama, which is the village that we now go through. Sarama in their language means human barbecue.
Oh my.
Because that's where they all got captured and they burned all the men and all that. I have a YouTube video out of this if you ever want to check it out, and Lionel explains it.
What's your YouTube channel called? I'll put it in the show notes.
One Wild Path, and I have one video up, and it is of this trip.
Right on. Hey, there we go.
So 200 years ago, this tribe breaks off into two groups, maybe more, but kind of two main groups. One stays in Sarama. You heard their fate. And then the other went and kind of hid in the mountains. And we're like, we're not going to fight this. Let's get away. How do we go hide? Like the Caribs are too strong. Anyways, that village has never been found. About 20, the reason I said Ian met them 21 years ago is 21 years ago was the last time someone found this waterfall. So they went to this waterfall. and they found a petroglyph, and they're like, oh, this is the chief.
Oh, that's cool.
And then through kind of oral tradition, like, oh, this is like, yep, this is the place where their chief was slaughtered years ago. So like, okay, we know this. And if you look at the area and the topography, we think there's probably a second waterfall further up. So we're like, let's go see if we can, we know where the first waterfall is. Let's see if we can push a little further and see if we can find the old village that then kind of broke off and then essentially died out.
Oh, man.
So that was the intention of the trip. We were going to go see if we could find it. It was taking a little bit too long. So we were like just looking at our days. We're like, we could maybe make it to where we think it is, but we're going to be pushing it. And at this point, if now we don't have enough reserves where someone does sprain an ankle and we slow down, it's going to be pushing it too close. So,
and you can't really plan it out on Google Maps because it's just covered.
No. And this area where we went, there are no records of anyone going there.
Wow.
And the reason we kind of say they're the first recorded humans where we went is we do want to respect the tribe.
Yeah.
They might have been there at some point, but they do have records up to 21 years ago of who's gone where and everything. This is when Ian started leading expeditions.
Yeah.
And no one had been to this region, and no true outside influence had really gone in this area prior to him. So first recorded humans where we went, there was a mountain that were like, if we can't make it to the village, there's this other cool mountain with an overlook. Let's just go climb that. So ended up doing a mountain hike. It's like a 3,000 to 4,000 foot mountain. Nothing crazy. But through the jungle, it's tough.
Yeah, that's got to be humid and all that stuff. Man, you can't breathe.
And no trail. And you're walking, you're like, oh, this is a cliff. Let's turn back. So it gets tough. So went up there instead. Didn't find the village, but we're the first recorded humans where we went there.
That is awesome, man.
Took the tribe. We had 3 tribal guides with us, Damien, Lionel, and Paul. So we decided to name the mountain Dalipa for D-A-L-I and then P-A.
All right, there you go.
We called it Dalipa.
Dalipa.
Not to be confused with Dua Lipa. So we ended up doing that instead. That was kind of the whole premise of the expedition. And went up and...
That is awesome, man.
Unofficially named the mountain. It's not going to be in any maps. And we'll even see if the tribe, they don't really care that much. They're like, yeah, sure, it's called Dalipa. So
Dalipa.
That was the expedition.
That is awesome. Do you feel like Indiana Jones when you're doing this? Because I sure would.
There's a few moments where you're like we saw like a 15-foot anaconda.
What?
There was in the water. There was a moment where some spider monkeys, probably like 6 of them, like surrounded us from like 60 feet up. And they were just like breaking off huge sticks and throwing it at us and then trying to pee on us and then throwing huge chunks of poop at us. And it actually hit my friend's pack. I mean, he got splattered. That was
monkeys,
cool.
Man.
Yep. An ocelot came through our camp, which is
that's cool. Yeah,
40-pound jaguar.
Yeah.
So that came through. Let's see, monkeys, anaconda. Oh, we caught a caiman. There was one that we camped at this other really beautiful waterfall.
Yeah.
And this caiman was like kind of coming up. We're like, we don't want this thing. So like Anders just like caught it. And it was, probably like a 5-foot long thing. So.
And what are they? They're not crocodiles. They're not alligators. They're like a mix.
Just a smaller version.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an ocelot. It's a small jaguar. This is like a small crocodile. So in those moments, you do feel like Indiana Jones.
That's pretty cool.
Sent up the drone, nothing for miles. And then our drone got attacked by killer bees at one point. So we're like, make sure we don't bring that back. 9 days, no humans, no trails.
Wow.
No pieces of trash. We didn't see a satellite. We didn't hear an airplane or a helicopter or any traffic or anything. The only thing we saw is at one point on the trail, we saw some slashes in the tree.
Yeah.
And that was from back in the day, the tribe would go harvest rubber.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was like the only sign of humans we saw. So yeah, there's a lot of points where you're like, I do feel like Indiana Jones right now.
Yeah,
it's like,
that is
you're
so
like,
cool, man.
It's pretty wild. So
did you like during that time? You said 9 days with just no contact with anyone, and like it feels like you're in a different. Yeah, what's that like? Because I mean, you hear it all the time. Like everyone's like, man, if I could get rid of my phone for just a day, like I would love it. Or like I just need to go take a trip by myself or whatever it is. Like people always say, they just need to get away for a second, but you're immersed in that for 9 days, and you have no option. Like you can't pick up your phone even if you wanted to. So like, what's that like?
It's the most refreshing experience you could possibly have. Your mind, I feel like your brain goes to a place where like, oh, this is how my brain is supposed to operate, where I wake up and I just look around at the physical things around me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about water. I'm thinking about food. I'm thinking about how my feet feel. And you're very like tuned into being a human. And then it's really good for your mind, and then your body starts to feel better too. Like you're definitely pushing. I had a rash on my arm from like a heat rash, and you're sweaty, you're uncomfortable. But you can just tell you're moving your body in a way that it's meant to. Like I actually went into the trip, I was pretty nervous with plantar fasciitis.
Oh, okay.
And which is very bad on the heel.
Feet,
and
kills.
which is, you're hiking every day with these packs, but
And how long? How long are like typical day hikes?
probably 4 to 8 hours.
Okay.
Usually I'd say 5. But I mean, you are hoofing it.
That's a long time.
It's like walking through a sauna.
Yeah.
If you've ever done a hot yoga class, imagine a 60-pound pack with long pants, long shirt.
Yeah.
Going. But
Brutal.
yeah. But what I recognize is every step wasn't flat, and I was having to grip with my toes, and I was stepping on all these rocks, and like, the weight that I was supporting was in a weird way, and my plantar fasciitis completely went away rather than getting worse.
Really?
Yeah, I think I was just strengthening all the right muscles through
Yeah.
my hips, through my knees, through my ankles, through my feet.
That's crazy.
And actually, my plantar fasciitis like got better, which is insane.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, so super refreshing both for your mind, super refreshing for your body. You feel like you're doing a detox because you're sweating out
Yeah.
a gallon a day. I don't know the actual number, but you're
Just a
sweating
bunch.
out so much that you become very present, and you're kind of like, whatever's happening in the world, I just have to be here.
Yeah.
There could be things happening. I can't worry about it. My worry
Yeah.
does nothing. So I'm going to worry about setting up my hammock. I'm going to worry about
Man, that's so cool.
getting firewood.
Yeah, that is awesome. Like, I don't know. I bet it also like helps you get closer to the people that you're with too.
Oh, it's such a bonding experience.
Like, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Band of Brothers.
Yeah, I just watched that show. I just
Oh, really?
rewatched it like 3 weeks ago, actually.
It's so
I've only
good.
seen it twice.
It's like
Just finished it.
one of my favorites. But like, I think obviously this is a different example than war.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this group of men, they hate each other, and then eventually they become brothers. And it's because they go through hard things together, and they're like relying on one another. And I feel like that would be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
In a situation like this, where it's like, hey, you're struggling over there. Hey, I'm gonna go get you some food or whatever it is. Like, you guys just take care of each other.
Yeah, you do. Obviously, like you said, not nearly as severe, but the concept still applies. And
Right.
you're up through the highs and the lows. Like there's definitely a few times where one of the girls, she kind of had like, it was a low level kind of like asthma attack or whatever, but like nothing crazy. She had her inhaler, but it's like, hey, like I'll get you water, or like take a break. And then I remember there was one hike where I got to the end of the day and I was like, I'm actually done. Like, I've been an ultra marathon runner and stuff. And it's tough, but when you get to the end, it's like, I need a breather. I could go more if I wanted to.
Yeah.
On this day, I was like, I'm literally, I'm
Just
done.
tapped. Yeah.
So you're with each other for the lows, but then you're also there for the highs. So I mean, there's just like you're belly laughing. When these monkeys are throwing poop and you see some of it hit your friend's pack. You're like,
Just explodes.
and it's like it sucks for him in the moment. But then you're just laughing about it so hard, and you end the trip with just these like memories that are so unique, so real that whenever we see each other, like, remember that time that Anders tackled that caiman, or remember when we did see the when we caught an electric eel, or when we saw the piranha, or we saw stingrays. I remember when we were like taking a bath and we realized next to you was a stingray. Like we have that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just you just belly laugh.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's something that can't be replicated other than through
going through it together.
Going through it, yeah.
Getting after it together. Mm-hmm. That's so cool, man. But you just brushed over that you're an ultra marathoner, by the way.
Kind of. It wasn't a sanctioned run. I've only done one. It was a 50K, which is like the minimum threshold. Yeah. I just started running, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a half marathon just by myself. And then next week, I was like, I'm going to do it again. And then I took a weekend off, did it. And then the weekend after that, I was like, I'm going to train actually for a marathon. And then the night before, I stayed out a little bit too late and didn't get a good night's sleep, had a drink or two. And I was like, I woke up the next morning feeling kind of like, I'm letting this weekend get away from me. So I'm going to go for a long run. And then I just kept going. And then I just was like, all right, I'm going to not stop till I hit 31 miles.
Really?
Which
Dang,
is
man.
Terrible decision. I I couldn't walk right the next day. Like I work up to that. Don't just be like, I'm going to do it today. So did it.
Brutal.
Happy I did it, but my joints are still feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome though. I do that. So that's why I asked. But
nice. What's like your ultra marathon?
I mean, my first one was last year in Arizona in the desert in July.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that was rough, but
Yikes.
it was a 50K because I just wanted to do it. And that one was cool because I ran it for my friend who was going through stage 4 colon cancer at the time.
Wow. Yeah.
And I wanted to quit so many times that I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm running it for him.
Yep.
I can't quit.
Yep.
And then like the first 15 miles, I would throw up every like half mile or so.
Oh, yikes.
So
every half mile?
It was rough. Like,
oh, geez.
And it was a 7-mile loop. And so the first time I get through, I was like, yeah, I'm doing okay. And then I like ran back to my aid station. I was like, I need some stuff.
Yeah.
And they were all worried about me. And so
I'd be like, stop. Run.
Yeah. But anyways, I got through it. But I'm running in the Canyonlands this year.
Cool.
And then 50K.
Nice.
And then my brother and I are doing a 50 miler in Sedona next year. But just trying to do it. And then Duluth, Minnesota, have a marathon next month.
So you're hooked.
I'm hooked. Yeah, I'm hooked. Yeah. But that's like, and when you're talking about, being so present, like you're focused on water, you're focused on food, and you're focused on like the next step and how your feet feel. It's like, it's interesting because I have a lot of those same thoughts. Like when I am running, it's like, you have to be in the moment. You have to be right there.
Yep.
And it is kind of nice because it's like, there's nothing else going through your head.
Right.
And so, that's kind of my escape, is like running in a sense. But, I want to go back to you. This isn't about ultramarathon stuff. We can talk about this at work.
But that mentality does apply to survival too. Like having the right gear, having the right techniques, everything like that. That's so important to survival. If you don't have a machete in the jungle, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But the next, or maybe even the most important thing, is the psychology of it. When we had our meetings with Ian, we like stacked up some cans, and he's like, "Here's the base," and made like a little pyramid. And he's like, "The base is like your psychology. Like it is like, how do you deal with every day? How do you want to survive?"
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing.
Did he give you any tips for that? Like when you're struggling, here's what you do.
No, not really, because he's just a human that operates on a different level. Like, I've met some very insane people in my day, and I still feel like I relate to them more than I don't. Ian was the one person where I was like, nope, I'm not cut from the same cloth. I was like, and this includes, people who have been on a loan. This includes, Ian is the one person where I was like, I could spend an entire lifetime training and like hardening my mental state. He's
just a different beast.
So smart, so tuned in, so tough, just so like, anyways. So he would give you some advice, but like, I don't know. He was talking about how one of the soldiers in his platoon or, unit got shot in the neck and was like spewing blood. He's like, I put my knee into his bleeding neck and saved his life. And it was a great day. You can just tell it doesn't like phase him that much. It's like, there was a problem. I fixed the problem. Day is good.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I had to do it.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
Yeah. He gave some tips, but it was also like, it was a different level.
What about you? Like when it's tough and like, I don't know, it probably rains a bunch in the Amazon, you're wet and you're tired and you have no food. Like, what do you tell yourself to keep going?
I think, I think of that quote. I forget where I heard it, but it was like, there is no wall, just this brick. It's like if you're laying down bricks to build a wall, it's like, don't worry about, oh no, I'm cold, so then what's going to happen in this? Oh, how many days? And just be like, I am cold, but I'm cold.
Yeah.
That's a feeling. I'm alive.
Yeah.
And you kind of just focus on the moment that you're in, like you're saying when you're running, just being present. I think that's a big one. And sometimes too, just trying to like phrase it as a challenge where I didn't think I could survive in the Amazon, and then I did. So then the next time I'm in a situation where I don't think I can do it, I'm like, well, the last time I thought I couldn't do something, I did it. And I had still a lot left in the tank. It was as tough as it could be, and I was as depleted as I'd ever been, but I still hiked that last bit through the jungle with the pack on and this and that. That didn't kill me. So kind of just having those experiences to draw upon and say, I'll get through this, and now the next thing's not going to be as tough. Yeah.
That's such a good mindset.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's like, I mean, I've coached a few people and like walking them through that. Like I always remember this 7 miles for some reason is always like, ooh, like it turns people off from like when they're trying to start running. They're like, I don't know, that distance seems like a lot. I don't know what
more than
6 to 8.
5K.
Yeah. It's like, but every time they always finish it and they're like, that was crazy. Like I did it.
Yep.
Like didn't think I could. And I'm like, so just wait until you hit like 13 and then keep going up. And it just shows that you just don't know your limits.
No.
And I always tell my wife this because she's like, what distance are you going to stop running? I'm like, I don't know. Like I just want to find what my limit is and see if I can reach it.
Right.
And luckily that day hasn't come, but it's like, I'm just curious. Like, I want to see what I can do. Yeah.
And it's for you, like, what is the distance? It's probably for you, it's like, it's less about some numerical goal and more about like, how do I get into that moment?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if like, whenever that moment stops being there.
Yeah. And I mean, running for me has become a mental game more than it has what Ian was saying. Like it very much is the psychology needs to be the base.
Take that next step.
So I love that. That's huge.
Don't worry about the marathon. Worry about the next step. Don't worry about the wall. Worry about the next brick.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that as a quote on this one.
Cool.
In the description. But you went to the Philippines recently, right?
I did.
How was that?
It was great. It was another survival-esque thing. So, it was cool. We went to an uninhabited desert island, just our group. Some people did survival. Some didn't. But we learned a bunch, and it was a beautiful jungle island that you have beautiful jungle that spills onto the white sand beach that then spills into the clear water, which then becomes a beautiful reef, and we had it all to ourselves.
That's crazy.
Fantastic.
Holy cow. What's on, is there like coconuts on the island and things like that?
Yeah, there's coconuts.
You guys are chopping coconuts and drinking them on the sand?
There's coconuts. That's like we call it the tree of life there. You can open it up. There's, if you have a green coconut, you can drink that water pretty much as you want.
Yeah.
If there's brown, there's a little more oil in that, so you can't do it as much. The next phase is when it kind of starts to grow. And if you bring that up, there's like a little cake in there. So it's like a little carbohydrate cake, but there's coconuts, there's fish. There's I think it's sea purslane. I might be mispronouncing that, but kind of like a little edamame shell that's got some beans in it. Can't have a ton of those, but you can have some. There's like some mangoes, not much. Kind of depends on the season, but
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, there's some stuff out there. We brought though our own food for this.
Yeah,
unless you're doing the survival challenge, similar to the last one. Camping and then survival at the end.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. Do you have any trips coming up? Like any planned?
Chilling for now. I'm getting married in a year from now. So, Melanie, my fiance, is also a hardcore badass. And she came with me to the last Amazon expedition.
I was just about to ask. She goes with you.
Oh, yeah. She didn't want to do the survival phase this time, which I can totally get.
Yeah.
But hiking, she was right there every step of the way. When I was done hiking, and she was like, all right, I'll set up camp. And she was still having energy in her. So
what a beast.
But the focus now is looking at doing like wedding and then honeymoon planning, which will probably actually take a little bit easy on the honeymoon. So,
go survival for your honeymoon.
Yeah. So, nothing too crazy. We've kicked around the idea of Mongolia or like Kyrgyzstan after that, and like doing some horseback riding and stuff. It'd be camping and like living with the tribes out there in yurts, but it's much more comfortable.
Yeah.
True survival. It'd be like a in between a hard camping trip and not quite survival. So that's
Would you ever go up to like Alaska?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Really?
I want to do Arctic survival at some point if I can.
Some crazy stuff up there.
Yeah. It'd be scary. That's why you got to do it. That's why you want to go.
That's why you got to do it, man. Yeah. Got to brace the elements. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like that, like I was telling you about the outdoor boys, he's posted videos where he's in negative 20 degrees in a hot tent.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing around him.
Yeah.
So he has to like pack in his food and everything for that, but he's melting snow to get the water and just so interesting. And I don't know, I've always been fascinated with the outdoors. Like,
you should do one of these trips.
I'd love it.
Really
honestly.
should.
I would love it.
I think you like it. I'll let you know when the next one is.
Yeah. And, are they always out of the country?
No, actually. So, Desert Island Survival. That's who I did the survival trip with, in the Philippines. We are actually trying to find a good island, that is in the US to do like a survival light.
Oh, wow.
So we're looking around. It's a little bit more difficult because we have what we call like the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold. For these islands that are the main islands, we have one in Panama. I did that one. One in Tonga. I did that one. One in Philippines. Did that one. The ones I've not done is Indonesia and the Maldives, and then also French Polynesia here and there. That trip doesn't run, but has to be an island that is beautiful and feels remote, but also close enough that if you do need to evacuate, you can. Yeah, it has enough resources on it, like coconuts and things like that. But then also doesn't have like pit vipers or anything too dangerous. So you have to find the right island. It wouldn't be exactly that in the States, but there's just so many islands that are either super, super, super expensive or, like pretty much like a jet ski dock and, things like that. It's like, okay, you're not really camping. So we are looking at that. It'd probably be a short, like a 4-day trip or something if we could get it up and running. And it'd be more of like an intro. Let's learn bushcraft. You can sleep under the stars if you want. But hopefully in the US at some point here soon.
Yeah, I would love it. Yeah, you gotta let me know. But I mean, I grew up going to the Sierras. Like my family loves the high Sierras, and
those are great.
My uncle, he like loves it so much. Him and his uncle, so my great uncle, they bought a decommissioned tungsten mine in Bishop, California.
Whoa!
Just because like it's right in the mountains.
Cool.
And I think they got it for like a killer price and all
Are they
this
going to
stuff.
still do mining stuff, or just like, oh, cool?
I don't think they're I think
cool
they're trying
cave.
to turn it into a hydro plant actually, because there's so much water coming out of the mountain, like that they want to sell it to LA. But I don't know, man. Just going up there and being connected to nature, and it's just something else. So like what you do is amazing, and so
it's been amazing. It's been awesome. If you're on the cusp, like, should I not do it?
Yeah.
Push yourself a little bit over the edge, and worst case, you go, yeah, that sucks, not for me.
Yeah.
But you're not going to regret it. You're going to come back with so many stories. And it's fantastic.
I mean, like a motto that my wife and I embody from her dad actually is, you can do hard things.
Yeah.
And like we run a marathon or a half marathon every year in his honor, and like get as many people as we can to come and join this thing. And that's the theme, is like, you can always do hard things.
Right.
And something like that, it's like, I mean, everything is in life is hard. Like, choose your hard.
Right.
And it's much better to choose the adversity yourself than to have life do it for you. And so I don't know. I think there's so many lessons to be learned in that. And so I'm serious. You got to keep me in check. I would love it.
I think we were saying, like, choosing the hard stuff. There's another quote that I love. Big quote guy.
Yeah.
But
hey, me too.
It says, for those who do difficult things, life will be easy. For those who do easy things, life will be difficult. And I'm like, that's like a nice little paradox there, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
I do too.
You do the survival, you do the ultra marathon, and then when you're in a pinch in life, or something like that, or the hike is going longer than you thought, you're like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not hard.
It'll end.
It's easy because I've done so many hard things.
Right. It's such an important mindset to have.
Yeah.
Like, it bleeds into every part of your life. Like,
it does.
I'm sure survival bleeds into work, and because it does the same for me with running. Like, I take the lessons that I learn, and like, you have good runs, you have bad runs, and you have good days at work and you have bad days at work, and like, you just got to push through and keep your eyes focused on the next thing. Like you said, the next step.
Yep. Like, if I got a bad night's sleep, I'd be like, I can't go to school tomorrow. I'll be so tired. Now I'm like, dude, I didn't sleep for 2 days in the Amazon and survival. Like,
right.
I'll get through the day.
It's like, whatever. Yeah. Like,
I
yesterday,
don't want to stare at Excel right now, but
whatever. It get you through.
Yeah.
But man, any other stories you want to share or anything else?
I mean, I guess some other highlights. I did the Panama survival. That was...
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about Panama.
Yeah, Panama and then Tonga. The Amazon's the true highlights. That's where where you're really pushing yourself. Panama did island survival through Desert Island Survival. Go look them up. They're fantastic. It's a company founded by my friend Tom Williams. He was on the show alone in the UK, and he won. Yeah, he won.
No way.
Yeah, the UK, he didn't have to last quite as long.
Yeah.
Just people gave up quicker there. It's the first season there. But
Brits,
he won
man.
it pretty. He won it pretty handedly. I mean, he's a great guy. Awesome company he set up. He really is like, here's how to have a crazy adventure while also like keeping it beautiful and fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he founded this company, and I went with him to Panama. He reached out to me. My name was in the group of survivalists. It's a very small group of people. It's you're
not many people out there trying to just survive.
Yeah, willingly getting rid of everything and embracing uncomfortable things. But anyway, so he got my information, reached out, said he's doing a trip. So I went with him. It was 10 people on the island plus 2 survival instructors, him plus Lucas Miller. Lucas Miller was on season 1 of the US alone. He's the guy who he built the boat. He made like a little guitar. So if you've ever seen season 1, he was on there.
I'll have to watch it after this.
Yeah, he's awesome. He knows his bushcraft so well. But we went to that island, 6 days of training and 4 days of survival. I did it with my 2 friends who I did jungle survival with, who I met out there.
Yeah.
So then we did it as a group of 3 for 4 days. We were his
cool.
first ever group to not use any of the resources. He gives you a little bit of calories. He gives you a little bit of water. And we're like, nope.
That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I did. That's another thing where you're like, I want some water. That's not coconuts. I've been slightly dehydrated for 4 days. But then when you go back, you hop on that boat and he's like, here's water. Here's chocolate.
Yeah.
Let's go get a burger. Tonight we're having pizza. You're just like
hell yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's the hunger is the best sauce. So like that pizza you're eating is like the best thing ever. Anyway, so
it's gotta be the best.
Yeah. Did that trip. That was awesome. And then I went out to Tonga, probably like a year and a half after that. Went with 2 YouTubers with Desert Island Survival.
Really?
Yeah.
Who were they?
Kara and Nate. Kara with a K. They're all one word. Look them up. They're huge. They have like 4 million subscribers.
Dang.
They're awesome. You get on the island, they're working harder than anyone. Everything you see in their videos, they are truly doing.
That's awesome.
I mean, there was a time where we're setting up the group shelter. we're like, all right, let's go for like a sunset hike. And Nate was like, no, I'm going to hang back and finish up the shelter. I've seen so many, you guys go have fun. I was like, dang, like he's
legit.
Yeah. So it was awesome going with them. I did the Panama trip. They came like a week after us.
Oh, wow.
And then they did the Panama trip. And then Tom was like, oh, that's cool. You got the YouTubers. And then the next time he was like, hey, like you want to come do some photography and videography and just help out. So went out to Tonga. And then was with them when they did their video.
Yeah.
I'm not in the video. I'm just in the background. But then I did 2 nights solo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Doing on Tonga, which if you're going to survive anywhere, survive in Tonga.
Really?
We called it the Garden of Eden. It was like coconut, like when you're in Panama, getting the coconuts down, the trees are tall. It's tough to get them down. There were so many coconuts.
Yeah.
This place was so unfished that I was just like, this is gotta fish.
Really?
Fish. Yeah.
You're just having a great time.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a fishing trip now.
The highs were like 72 and the lows were 68. So I was like, great, it's temperature controlled.
You're
room.
perfect.
Yeah, so it was awesome. And it was so beautiful. We watched humpback whales jumping in the distance.
No
it has
way.
some of the highest concentration of humpback whales. You can also legally swim with them if you're going with like a licensed guide. So the guy who rescued us from our island on the way back, he was like, let's go find some humpback whales. So we swam with humpback whales.
What's that like? Is it scary?
It's humbling. I mean, I was looking at, there's a mother and a calf.
Yeah.
The calf is swimming around, being like, woo, look at me, look at my flippers. Like just, kind of like swimming at you and swerving and then doing barrel rolls. And
the calf is probably bigger than you.
Oh, like the size of like a school bus.
Jeez, man.
And then the mother is just huge. And you're in the most pristine, crystal clear water you could possibly imagine. And you're looking at this humpback whale and you're like, I can't really see the tail because it's that deep down. So that was incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah. So Tonga, survival was pretty easy. I mean, it's still very tough, but pretty easy.
Yeah. Like any survival would be hard.
Yeah. And then the humpback whales, and then they had they call them flying foxes, like these fruit bats that fly around. They use their eyesight, not echolocation. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so they're flying in the day, and they're like the biggest one, they can get to like 5 feet wingspan. Now that's a big one, but I was seeing plenty of 3 to 4.5 foot. And they have these orange heads. So I just remember there was a day where I was watching the sunset by myself, and I'm on this beautiful, pristine beach by myself. No boats, no nothing in the distance. And I can see humpback whales jumping. And then behind me are these giant foxes flying around.
Oh my.
And that was one of the most magical moments you could possibly imagine.
Dude, that's amazing.
So, yeah, that was really incredible.
How could you not like remember that for the rest of your life? Like seriously. Like the hummingbirds in the Amazon and
it's
moments like that, that is amazing.
It's I feel very
normal
fortunate.
People don't get that stuff.
They don't, but they can.
They can.
It's just a simple choice of saying I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
I have friends who are like, how do you do this? I'm like, I don't have any secrets. I'm not special.
I'm actually trying to get you to come out here.
Yeah, exactly. And then a lot of my friends came to the Philippines one. I made that trip a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just have to make the decision to go. It's going to hurt your bank account a little bit. You're going to have to stop eating out for a little bit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to train a little bit. But there's these tiny little sacrifices add up to these incredible life experiences. And not only is that experience awesome, now it unlocks your perspective for greater experiences. If I hadn't done that Amazon trip, I'm probably not doing these island trips. If I'm not doing that first island trip, I'm not hanging out with these really awesome YouTubers on the second one. If I'm not hanging out with them on that, I'm not bringing my friends to the Philippines. So it's like, just allow yourself to unlock your potential.
That's so cool, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And it really is like, there's so much out there for everyone. And it doesn't have to be like survival or running or anything. It's just like, if you have a desire to do something, follow your passion.
In the YouTube video, so I'm making the next one for the Philippines.
And
I've actually found that I really enjoy the art of storytelling. Like you look at a scene, like how do I film it? How do I capture it? Then how do I like condense it down so an audience can get it? So I'm actually pretty proud of my first one. It's a 47-minute video, but I think it came out pretty well. I spent hours doing that.
Editing is a beast on its own.
It's a beast. And I was like, if I'm trying to do this expedition to make Ian proud, I need to make a video to make him proud.
Yeah.
Now that being said, he'd be like, "You're making a YouTube video, dude, really?" But because he's like one of those guys.
Yeah.
But no, I had a lot of fun. So I'm making a Philippines one, and hopefully that'll be out in the next month or two. We'll kind of see how it goes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Remind me your YouTube channel name.
It's One Wild Path. Or if you just look up my name, fun fact, I'm the only Dustin Illgner in the world.
Are you serious?
Yeah. There's only like 300 to 400 Illgners in the world with ILL and GNER. So if you look up my name, you'll find me.
All right, there we go.
But yeah, the video's up. I've got like 15 subscribers. So
hey, there we go.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's fun. And another one will be coming out soon.
Well, I'll definitely put the link in this video description so people can watch it because what you're talking about just sounds amazing. I want to learn about it more. So,
Yeah.
And yeah, keep me posted on any future ones. But it's been great having you, man. It's been awesome, and it's crazy because like you have all these stories and you sit right behind me at work. So it's like
yeah.
I would never know.
That's just the guy who's staring at Excel or talking to a brand about their product margin.
And I'm over there looking at random data points. So same thing, but. Yeah, man, it's been so fun talking to you and hearing your experiences and everything. So genuinely appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. And, yeah, everyone else out there, appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. And as always, keep getting after it.
Keep getting after it.
Dude, that was awesome.
Cool, man. That was fun.
That was fun.